A good day. I hope you guys can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me and see me okay, and hope you can see our guests. We've been talking about Bitcoin and crypto and everything else and what's going on with blockchain and all kinds of stuff. And out of the request from many of you, we reached out and we found some crypto enthusiasts, crypto experts that we could bring onto the platform to just have a conversation about what's going on with Bitcoin and not just Bitcoin. We know the crypto world's much bigger than Bitcoin, but that's kind of the entry point for a lot of people. So let me ask everybody, if you could, please, before we begin, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that yet. And also welcome to everybody who is Black first. As you know, on this platform, we're B1. That means that we put our community first, wealth first, all that good stuff. So as long as we're on the same page, we can get started. All right. So one of my guests is King Bless. King Bless is a crypto consultant. He and Isaiah Jackson co-host something called The Gentleman Crypto. And Isaiah is the author of a book called Bitcoin in Black America. Is that right, Isaiah?
Absolutely, yes.
And you'll get to know these brothers more as time goes on. But I want to say welcome to both of you. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Glad to be here. Definitely.
All right. And we also have Royal Madru, who is the founder of New World Tycoon. And Royal has a lot to say about the world of crypto, credit, and everything in between. How you doing today, brother?
I'm blessed, man. Glad to be here.
All right. Well, glad you guys are here. So let's start the conversation from the beginning then. Crypto's something that a lot of people are kind of confused by. You know, they see the money being made and they don't know if they should jump in or stay away. And it almost seems like an illusion to a lot of people. And what got a lot of people's attention this year is Bitcoin. I think that's one of the big stories, at least in the mainstream media, that Bitcoin it crashed in 2017, and now it's been taken off, and it's up over 30,000 now. Last time I checked, maybe 32, 33,000, something like that. Let's start with you, King Bless. What do you attribute this sudden rise in Bitcoin to, and what's going through your brain as you're kind of watching this go down?
Well, the sudden rise is institutions. Right now is mainly banks, Wall Street, capital firms, venture capital firms are all buying Bitcoin. So it's not retail investors. So the price pump is coming from institutions, which is a good thing because retail investors haven't gotten into it. Bitcoin in general, the reason why I believe in it and the reason why I see this as being the future, I think back in 2015, there was a stat that said only 24% of Americans were using cash at the time. That was in like 2015. We're getting away from cash. That's over with. The pandemic accelerated. No one will be using cash. They don't take it in LA in most places. Digital currency is the future. It's about which one will it be. I think Bitcoin is going to be the one to win out. A lot of banks and organizations also believe it, which is why people are starting to buy Bitcoin so it can be backed by whatever dollar, whatever other type of monetary value they have there.
Wow. Okay. So, all right. So, Royal, I'm gonna go to you. So King Bless is saying that cash almost sounded like he was saying cash is on its way out the door. Traditional cash, that digital currency is the wave of the future. What are your thoughts on that? And how do you link this to what's going on in crypto?
Well, what's going on in crypto right now is basically digital currencies coming in, and like cash is going to end up going out. The reason why is because, well, crypto's already been practiced throughout this whole time when we've been using Apple Pay, so they're kind of getting this kind of ready for digital currency anyway. That's how I personally feel about it. Like, it's been here more than 10 years, and pretty much digital currency is pretty much the only thing that's basically going to help all of us be able to like invest our money the proper way, because right now cash is going to be out. I think that the digital currency is going to come in and kind of help countries like Africa, Asia, countries that haven't had banking, like, and so it's going to pretty much help everyone be able to like invest and help third world countries and help a lot of people to get involved in learning their finances. Because as of right now, I personally think when people work, the banks pretty much control most of people's investments. When they're going to retire, you got 401ks, and no one really has a chance to take control of their money. And I think Bitcoin is that one lane where people are now going to have to sit back, learn finances, but they can't blame anyone about their finances because anyone can invest into Bitcoin and learn it and make as much money as they want. And they can pretty much, we all are even in this playing field. It's crypto, and it's just the beginning. Really
okay. All right. So let me ask you, brother. Okay, sorry, Isaiah. Sorry, I'm learning your names. Isaiah. So Royal was saying that Bitcoin and crypto kind of evens the playing field. And that almost seems to indicate that it's like a currency, and which it technically is. But I don't see a lot of people using Bitcoin for transactions like a currency. I see people buying it, hoping that the price will go up. But I don't see a lot of people, buying pizza and shoes with Bitcoin. What is your view on Bitcoin in terms of where it is and what it represents for you?
So currently, I would agree with King that institutions are buying Bitcoin as a way to preserve their wealth, which is the main use case of Bitcoin right now as a store of value. As a currency, the ability is something that happens when you have consensus among people that when you spend it with them, that they can spend it with someone else. As far as a currency, it does have a way to go to be a reliable medium of exchange, as reliable as we've accustomed to sort of the dollar. But we do know money has 3 stages: store of value, medium of exchange, and then a unit of account. So it will take some time to get to that point. But what Bitcoin represents for me is a chance for people to own their wealth for the first time in U.S. history. First time ever. There is no other money mechanism where it is unconfiscatable, where you can hold your private keys. And that's what Bitcoin mainly represents to me, and cryptocurrency as well, from the speculative nature, allows it to grow in price. So that brings people into the market. But ultimately, I believe Bitcoin as a store of value is why I'm here.
So just so you know, it looks like one of our guests, Ian Bellina, just got here. How you doing today, brother?
Doing well, thanks. How are you?
Doing very well. Glad to have you. Now, Ian, I don't have the information in front of me right now, but I know that you do a lot in the world of crypto. I'm actually pull that up in a second. But I want to ask you. We were talking about the rise. The first thing most people are noticing is that Bitcoin has just kind of made a comeback, and a lot of people obviously might remember 2017 when you had that crash. And from what I have seen, I mean, you guys are really into that world. But from what I've seen, it looks like Bitcoin has crashed many times. Like this 2017 wasn't the only time, but it's come back many times. So tell me, Ian, do you think that there's something different about this rise in Bitcoin that makes this not a repeat of 2017? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, for sure. So Bitcoin in the crypto space has matured a lot more. So if we look at the market since 2017, we now have institutions in Bitcoin. We have almost every Wall Street investor in Bitcoin and crypto. We have Facebook in crypto. We have Samsung in crypto. We have, even Elon Musk possibly getting into crypto. We have publicly traded companies putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So the market is a lot more mature than back in 2017. 2017 was kind of the hype cycle. But in the last 3-year bear market, pretty much the space has been matured, cleaned up, and now it's ready to go mainstream, in my opinion.
So matured and cleaned up. I'm curious about that. I want to go to King Bless on this question. When you look at Bitcoin and crypto, one of the things that's interesting is I remember in the beginning, it was a great way to do transactions if you're trying to do something where you didn't want the government to know what you were up to. That everything's so anonymous and just this idea that you hear these stories about people that I think at least 2 of them I've seen where somebody had over $250 million worth of Bitcoin and they just lost it because they lost the password to the wallet or somebody just took it or whatever the case may be. It almost seems like that decentralization part of Bitcoin, and not just Bitcoin, but other cryptos, is something that seems to liberate the consumer. Like, look, you're out of the global economic system. You're able to do these things on your own, but there's a risk that comes with that, right? Like a fear, So how do you balance that, and how do you also balance the fact that? So I'm asking really 2 questions. One is dealing with that fear of knowing that you could just lose your money, and the cops can't go get it for you. But then also knowing that a lot of what drove the value of Bitcoin initially was these illegal transactions, but that's going to eventually have to go away, it seems, in order for this this whole Bitcoin experiment to really become mainstream. What are your thoughts on that?
So yeah, like I said, kind of a loaded question, 2-part question. I'll answer the best of my ability, like sound bites, because this is more of a conversation here.
Yeah.
But first, when it comes to any criminal activity, it's already been found that under 2% of all transactions in crypto are illicit. So they're less than 2% of illicit transactions. So that is not real. That is fake.
Really?
That's fake and make believe. That is a make believe that It's been
Well, you
disproven many
educated me.
times.
I thought it was much higher. I didn't know, but go ahead, please continue.
Right, but it makes sense because if I'm a multi-billionaire and all my friends are multi-billionaires, the Warren Buffetts, the Bill Gates, the governments of the world, and all my money is in cash, and Bitcoin does devalue fiat currency. I mean, we're seeing that right now. 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. The dollar value has changed, not the Bitcoin value. Then yes, if I'm a billionaire and my money is in fiat, I want you to not like Bitcoin. I'm going to do everything I can, my media companies, to make you feel like criminals are buying it, whether it's true or not. So that isn't true. And then I'm sorry, what was the second point you made?
The risk, the risk of it all.
So the risk, again, that's more of a conversation, but the risk of cryptocurrency is all made up in your head. And that's usually because people don't have enough fiat currency to understand their risk in the market now, or they just don't understand risk when it comes to money. They don't understand that they don't have freedom. And what I mean by that is, first of all, yes, if you become your own bank, which cryptocurrency allows you to do, you are your own bank. So you have to have your own bank security. You need to learn about cybersecurity. You need to learn about PIN codes and all that. Yes, you become your own bank and it's risky. But right now in the regular market, it's even riskier. A lot of people don't feel it because they don't have nothing but 3,000, 5,000 to their name if they're lucky. But for people who have millions of dollars or billions of dollars, and all of a sudden you want to do a 2008 bailout where the government says, hey, we're going to bail out these banks using taxpayer money. There's nothing you can do about it. To me, that's not having control of your money. Or I have family members. I'm from Detroit originally. My family members work for the big three, Ford, GM. They got bailed out as well. No, the people who work there didn't get bailed out. They don't have control of their money. With Bitcoin, if the government or the banks or whatever, they say, hey, we want to go to war, or we want to bail out GM or Ford or whatever, we want to bail out a bank, then you owning your own Bitcoin can decide yes or no. I will give you the money to do this, or no, you are not allowed to do this with my money.
Wow. That's heavy. That's that 2% thing about most of the Bitcoin not being used for illicit transactions. That's a surprise to me. But to your point, though, you are right. Usually when something comes along and competes, the other side kind of becomes a hater. Like the way a girl will be like, well, she's a hoe. You know what I mean? Like, because she's mad because the other girl done got her man's attention or whatever. Or with the hotels, when Airbnb started coming up,
Airbnb.
They led that campaign to make people think you're not safe in an Airbnb. So that's a good. Wow, I didn't know that. So let me ask you this, Royal. How did you get into crypto in the first place? Like, what drove your interest in crypto?
What drove my interest in crypto was realizing I was putting a lot of money in the bank, but I wasn't making a real return with my money in the bank. So I was looking for alternate ways where I can actually control my money. I know there's stocks and there's options, but when crypto came into my life, I realized that I can make 100 to 1,000 times my money, and I did in 2017 when I purchased Ripple at 44 cents, and then I sold at $3. And once that transaction went through, I kind of realized like, crypto is going to be the next stage of finances. And I was learning it early. I thought it was early, but it's been before me. But I learned that you can make money 24/7 because the stock market closes. So once I realized it was 24/7, I was up every night for days straight and parking my money in different cryptos. So I wasn't just into Bitcoin. So when I made my money in Bitcoin, I realized that Bitcoin and Ethereum wasn't by themselves. Because I was looking at these two coins as two vehicles. So I realized when okay, these are two vehicles. What make these two vehicles run? And what actually happens, what goes through the transactions and who is partnered with who. So I started to invest, spread my portfolio into different cryptos. And like randomly, like some would pop, some would pop, some would pop, some wouldn't go nowhere. And I started to learn how to make money in it. And ever since I started, it's been a great experience.
Wow.
All my friends involved for years. Like a lot of my friends call me to this day because I had a manufacturer business a couple years ago. And when people used to come to my office, I used to tell them like, look, you should take some money and buy crypto. And those same people to this day, they call me like mad because I told them in 2016 to buy crypto when I bought it. So they all call me back now. And I'm just like, man, but it's not too late because it's still the coins that's bubbling. We're going into a transition. So a lot of companies and a lot of coins are at their bottom, but they've reached their all-time high, but it's going to go higher, because once Bitcoin is regulated 100%, there's going to be $1 trillion roll right in. It's $1 trillion going to roll right into the space that I believe, and that's going to make the profits for everyone who's involved now larger, go higher. So,
okay. So let me ask Ian, what do you think Bitcoin is going to go? I mean, I've heard estimates as high as, I think I could have swore I heard somebody say as high as 400,000 or 500,000. Those are probably the peak end, but I think JP Morgan said as high as 146,000 in the next 2 years. Do you believe that? What are your thoughts on the future of Bitcoin, Ian?
I think everything depends on the time frame, because our projections were predicting Bitcoin to get to 40 or 45K by the end of this bull run, meaning that it goes up as high as, let's say, 500,000, but coming back down by about 80% or so back to 50K. But Bitcoin's already there right now. So I think Bitcoin has pretty much exceeded anybody's expectations. We do believe long-term, Bitcoin has the potential to eventually hit the price of over 1 million per Bitcoin. But the question is, over what time frame, right?
Oh,
but
so it sounds like you're saying that you can see that happening, but you could also see more crashes occurring. Is that accurate?
Well, I mean, yes. So a crash has to happen naturally because the market goes in cycles. But I think if Bitcoin ends up achieving its goal of becoming the currency of the world, of becoming possibly the reserve currency of the world in the future, Bitcoin has to surpass over $1 million per Bitcoin. So
wow.
I do believe long term, whether that's 20 years down the road or even longer, Bitcoin will hit that price. But the question is, how fast, how soon?
Who thinks that Bitcoin is going to become, the most used currency in the world? I mean, King Bless, I guess I'll go to you. Do you think that's going to happen? I mean, do you think that Bitcoin is going to be used? I mean, because I can't imagine something with that much volatility. Like if you have a dollar, the value of the dollar does change. It's generally going down, but it does not move as much as Bitcoin. Bitcoin moves like crazy. Is that even reasonable to think that Bitcoin could become this widely used currency that everybody's using as much as we use fiat, or even a third as much as we use fiat? What do you think?
I don't think so.
I think so. Here's the thing. I think could it happen? Yes, it could happen. From just a technical perspective, it actually should happen because it makes sense. I don't understand why people hate it so much. Again, people, when you talk about Bitcoin, without thinking about the dollar value, you have a way to do payments and a transparent ledger. So we pay the government anything under a penny up to wherever, we can see exactly who gets it and when they get it. I'm not understanding why people don't want it. But it's also, that's the same reason why I don't think it'll be widespread. Some of the other people on the panel, I hear what they're saying, but I think we are a little bit too excited and not understanding where regulators are coming from. I called for regulation back in 2018 saying it would happen. I'm not a fan of it, but I said it would happen. We've already seen it happen. And the way the United States is, they are very happy. We're very happy about the dollar being the #1 reserve currency. We don't want anybody or anything to displace that. And if anything tries to displace it, more bombs are coming. So from a technical perspective,
literally the bomb.
From a technical perspective, I do think Bitcoin could be the world's currency. There's no reason for it not to be. Like, it just makes so much sense. Again, we talk about all this money we give the government, even though we're $1 trillion in debt, but whatever, they give money to different countries. Well, let's see it. Let's just go on the blockchain and see you give the 200 million to whatever country, and then let's see exactly where they use it. We can do that with Bitcoin. So from that point of view, I do think it could be the world currency. But knowing human intervention, I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay, so Isaiah, it looked like you had something to say to that.
Yeah, so as far as Bitcoin's use case, it's not necessarily to be a stable coin like the US dollar. So I don't think that's the competition. I think the change from the US dollar that we have now to CBDCs, which are central bank digital currencies, is going to happen. That will occur. But Bitcoin as a settlement layer or as a global reserve can absolutely be a large part of the $100 trillion worth of assets that are in the world, which will grow over time. Even if you only get 25% of that, that's when you'll hit that $1 million mark that Ian Bellina is talking about. And that is very possible because if you put Bitcoin as a store of value beside everything else, it wins out every time. It's actually portable, unlike gold. It actually has a supply that you can audit. It has provable scarcity. It has the ability over time, from a tech standpoint, to provide people the ability to send money across seas by remittances. So the value of Bitcoin is way far beyond gold, and that market is $10 trillion right now. If you talk to anyone under the age of 21, they are not putting their money in gold. They're going to put it in Bitcoin. If you talk to billionaires, like Michael Saylor, who has called the dollar a melting ice cube. They're putting their wealth into Bitcoin. There's 18 publicly traded companies, if you go to bitcointreasuries.org, that have purchased large sums of Bitcoin to preserve their wealth because they understand that Bitcoin is not necessarily meant to be a day-to-day transaction. Who cares if you can buy coffee with Bitcoin? That's not what it's for. That's what stable coins. Bitcoin is not that. So when people think of it that way, they may think, hey, it's volatile. But if you want to talk about volatility, there's only 6 days in Bitcoin's history where you ever bought it where you would not be in profit if you held it. There's only 6 days in 12 years. There's 99.9% of Bitcoin's history that if you bought Bitcoin, you would be in profit today if you held it. Even if you bought the top of 2017, if you dollar cost average $50 a week, I did an actual Excel sheet. If you dollar cost average from the top of the market in 2017 to December 31st, 2020, you would have spent $7,700. You would have made over, because you would have gained 1.04 Bitcoins, you would have made over $35,000 and your ROI would have been over 300%. So when you say volatile, yes, it is volatile up and to the right if you hold it. 0 people who have held Bitcoin for longer than 3.5 years have lost money. So Bitcoin's use case is working, and it has been working. That's why you see the mass mutuals whose whole job is insurance. And their whole job is risk management. They think Bitcoin is less risky than the dollar. That's why they bought $100 million of it. So those are 2 different points, but Bitcoin's volatility has nothing to do with the long-term view. It's very stable, actually. Wow. And you can actually track it with halvenings. If you look at every halvening, after every halvening, 12 to 18 months is a bull run. That's very predictable. We know that the dollar is down 99% since its inception, and that inflation is actually 15 to 20% year over year. And for those of you watching, if you don't understand inflation is like it's like somebody stealing from you every single day, little by little. They take a vase, they take a plate, they take your remote. You don't really notice it. And then one day you can be standing there like Will Smith at the end of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air with nothing in your house. That's what inflation does to your money. Bitcoin does the opposite. You put it in Bitcoin and you look up and you have more money than you had before in dollar amounts, but Bitcoin is scarce. So you want a percentage of that amount. That's why Bitcoin has value.
So Ian, what do you think about what Isaiah had to say just now? I know you have your own metrics, you know, of what's going to happen in the future and stuff like that. I mean, at that point about dollar cost averaging and all that, I thought that was a great point. But what are your thoughts? I mean, are you in pretty much alignment with what Isaiah just said?
Yes and no, right? I mean, so I think holding Bitcoin is definitely a better investment than holding fiat currencies, the dollar, because every single year you lose purchasing power by holding the dollar. Let's say 5 to 15%. So in about 5 years, you're basically going broke. So on our channel, we have a saying that not being in crypto is a financial crime. It's almost like people who have been bullish on crypto, the crypto evangelists, they've been on Noah's Ark getting ready for this storm, getting ready for this financial storm. This was pre-COVID, but COVID has really sped things up. And now the whole world is seeing the use case of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. But most important of all, now almost everybody's seeing how devalued the dollar is. And as this happens, more and more people will flood into crypto. And we think crypto is the future of money because for the first time in history, you have retail traders and investors who've had a chance to front-run institutions. Because now on Wall Street, almost every single fund has to buy crypto or Bitcoin not to be stupid. And we think while all these funds flow into Bitcoin, I'm more bullish on Ethereum, but that's probably a whole different story here. Actually, I don't own any Bitcoin at all.
Okay.
I
think that's a good opportunity to go beyond Bitcoin. Go ahead. I'd like to hear that actually. I mean that's fascinating. I
don't have Bitcoin either. I have some Bitcoin, but I don't use it.
I mean, so Bitcoin is really a store of value.
Wait. What? Okay, Isaiah first, and then Ian. I know it sounds like you have to finish your point, but go ahead, Isaiah. What are you gonna say about that?
Okay, so outside of Bitcoin, every cryptocurrency is speculative in nature because the use case has not been proven. None of them. So if you take the statistics from Trade Society, only 1.6% of traders are actually profitable over 10 years after fees. That is a 98% fail rate. Bitcoin, I just explained, has a 99.9% success rate. So on one side, you have a 98% fail rate if you want to go into cryptocurrencies exclusively, because most people are not traders. You may be a good trader. That's possible. But Most people are not. So when you say that I only have crypto, not Bitcoin, people are like, well, I can go to the flashy and shiny crypto and trade it. A lot of people get dumped on. My man got out of Ripple at $3. Congrats. A lot of people got dumped on. CNBC told people to buy Ripple at $3. A lot of people got dumped on.
And that's another thing.
If you talk about Ethereum, people are only in Ethereum because they think the price will go up. Because when you talk about utility, there's a lot of attack vectors. And when the price goes up, it's unusable with gas fees right now. And if they're going to solve it, they need to solve it before, Ethereum is supposedly better. Now, I've heard the solutions that are supposed to come. But if you think it goes to 20K, maybe. But gas fees are going to be ridiculous. Nobody who's going to use it. I mean, CryptoKitties almost took down the whole network.
Interesting. So Ian, it sounds like you have more to more of your point you want to make on that. Go ahead, bro.
I think Bitcoin, in my opinion, is solving the store of gold. The store of value use case. Bitcoin is not really meant to be a currency, as Isaiah mentioned. Bitcoin is designed to be a replacement for gold, digital gold. But in my opinion, if we take the entire market cap of gold or digital gold, what do you think is a bigger market cap? All the capital markets in the world getting tokenized? Because I believe, so last year I went to Osaka, Japan, to Ethereum DevCon. This is an annual conference where all the Ethereum developers go there and build an Ethereum and present all the amazing things they're building there. So I was there at the bottom of a bear market, and I was just fascinated by the amount of activity there in the Ethereum community. Ethereum is really the biggest development community out there in the crypto space. While Bitcoin had their early start, if you go and look at Bitcoin, they have about 250 monthly active developers. Ethereum has 10 times the number of active developers per month. So even though it's kind of controversial, I've gone on the record saying that I believe in 5 or 10 years, Ethereum will surpass Bitcoin in total market cap, because Ethereum is building a virtual computer. They're building a platform where anybody can build applications that are decentralized and not controlled by anybody. So I believe that market and that use case is much, much bigger than just being store value for gold. You're on mute?
Sorry, guys. Just in case you guys know, I muted everybody, including myself, because I heard a little bit of an echo. So that's why I muted you guys, not because I don't want to hear what you guys to say. Everybody, I want you to know who I'm speaking with. I'm speaking with some very smart black men I just met today, but I'm really enjoying this conversation. We're talking about what's going on in the world of Bitcoin and crypto and beyond, and what to expect there. And the brother from New World Tycoon, Royal Madro. Ian Bellina, who is a noted expert in the crypto space as well, Isaiah Jackson, and King Bless, who are both the hosts of the Gentleman Crypto. Correct? Did I get that right? Okay. And so here's what I want to ask you guys about. So let's go beyond Bitcoin then. I wanted to start with Bitcoin just because that's what everybody's hearing about and everybody's familiar with. But there's so much more out there. I know I personally have about maybe 20 different cryptos, and I'm a buy and hold guy. I wish, after Isaiah did his analysis, I wish I'd done a little more dollar cost averaging, because it sounds like that would have been a great strategy. But I'm happy, right? I'm happy with it. And I'll tell you a funny story, actually, which is why I think everyone should at least take a look at this market. I was talking to one of my cousins. Didn't go to college, none of that stuff. But he makes money. He knows how to get money. And he says, yeah, in 2010, I worked on a project and they gave me some Bitcoins to do this project for him. I said, so how many Bitcoins they give you? He said, I don't know, about 38. And I said, have you been keeping up with the price of Bitcoin? He said, no, what is it now? So that's when I got to tell him that he had about $1.7 million that he wasn't keeping up with. But these crazy things have happened, right, in the world of crypto. And I think that what a lot of people are looking for is they're trying to figure out, without getting too crazy with it, what else is out there that is that presents that potential gold mine. And actually, in a second, just so you guys can be prepared, I'm going to ask you also to sort of play a devil's advocate with yourself and maybe explain why certain people, like say Warren Buffett and other noted investors, hate crypto. Right? They just think it's just Jamie Dimon, all these other people. Right? So but we'll get to that in a second. So let's just start there. Maybe if you could tell me what your favorite one or two coins are and why. And I'll start with you, my brother Royal. What are your favorite cryptos besides Bitcoin?
Well, one of my favorite cryptos right now, as far as Bitcoin, would be, I got two favorites that I kind of look at. I look at CVC and I look at Track. CVC, it helps with it's going to be helping with identity and track. It's going to help with logistics and tracking supply chain. So I like the tracks because eventually you'll be able to go to the store and you'll be able to actually see exactly where your meat come from, and you can be able to track anything. It's going to pretty much help people and companies and corporations be able to track all their supplies. So just like you remember when we was looking for masks, and when masks came out, America couldn't find it. And the reason why they couldn't find it because there wasn't tracked. Like no one could find it. Well, with crypto, they're gonna have it more logistics down pat. Well, people are gonna know as soon as something is made, it's gonna be tracked from the warehouse. And I think that CBC is gonna be pretty much, that's going to be something they're going to use it in the airport for identification to kind of speed up the airport because, you know, COVID and everything. But I think eventually it's going to be where you go to the airport, your face will be the ticket. It won't be a ticket because, you know, when you're at the airport, small things slow you down. I think like that would kind of speed up the airport traffic, CBC. So those are two of my favorite coins right now. And plus Ethereum, because Ethereum is pretty much the heart of everything. People don't know, but it's going to be running the show pretty much real soon.
Okay, well, I got some Ethereum. I think I might buy some more after hearing y'all talk. All right,
I think you should buy some more.
All right. Well, consider that done. I'm gonna open up my account right now. So King Bless, what are your favorite cryptos and why?
I would say my favorites. I like community-based, smaller cap ones for the most part, and just kind of going off that. The reason why. We see what's going on with XRP, Ripple, and the SEC lawsuit. I think if the SEC wins, we might overnight see like 90% of projects disappear because I think they're going to be like, hey, if the SEC can take down Ripple, they definitely can take us down.
Wow.
So with that being said, I don't go after some of these big glamorous projects because I'm like, hey, if the SEC take down Ripple, you guys are probably next. So with that being said, I like Dogecoin. I like Dogecoin because that is what cryptocurrency is about. Before people start talking about the volatility and dollar value and all this other stuff, the beauty of cryptocurrency and digital currency is that I can just go online, create something out of thin air, and all I need is one other person to say, hey, I accept that as value. And that's what Dogecoin has been doing. That's why it keeps going up. And that's why people like it, because it's a fun coin. People aren't even thinking about a dollar value unless it's like a big pump. And it continues to work. And oh, by the way, it continues to pump every time a big bull cycle comes through. So Dogecoin first, and another one that's a funny one. I know Bitcoin Zay is going to laugh about this. Is an old school one. Is only available on a couple of exchanges, but something like BitBean. Again, BitBean. These are the ones you never hear. BitBean and Rarecoin. I'll actually give you two. You never hear about these coins. I think BitBean is like 0.0003 cents, so way less than a penny. But these are also the same type of coins I identify when Neo used to be Ant shares. I mean, we talked about this live on our show. I remember seeing Ant shares when it was like 25 cents, less than 25 cents a coin. It ended up being $80. Same with a couple other ones. So I like all three of those coins, BitBeans, the Doge coins, because they are all small cap coins, but they have huge community followings. If you actually look at the Bitcoin forums, you'll see people actually talk about these coins. They're on it. They're on video games and all this other stuff, but they're not in the view as far as price point because no one looks at the price point. But literally just like 2 or 3 months ago, Dogecoin's at 0.03 cents, so less than a penny, and now is at a full 1 penny. So it went up like 700% or something crazy in like a matter of 72 hours. And again, those type of coins aren't done. As we see the bull cycle continue, whether it's this one or the next few ones. I heard you talk about volatility. Yes, people, if you're listening, don't be surprised if we see Bitcoin goes down to $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 and might stay there for 2 years, right? That could happen. But when those things happen, the next bull run, when it goes up to 60 to 80 to 100K, those coins I just mentioned, watch them. They are going to pump like crazy. Those are going to be the big percentage swings that people are looking for.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, that's good information. I was actually looking up. I was looking up Ethereum, as you guys mentioned that. And I noticed Ethereum's gone up over 100% this month. So I took my brother's recommendation on dollar cost averaging. So Isaiah, you just changed my life. I actually own some Ethereum. I didn't realize how much I own. So thankfully, I actually bought some. But I actually did something where I'm actually going to buy some every week. And that's what you should do, right? You're supposed to just be consistent with it. And so thank you for that information on that. Okay, so Isaiah, your next brother, I'd love to know what are your favorite coins besides Bitcoin and why?
So I like Monero. The project is focused towards privacy. I love the tech that's around it. A lot of the engineers that work on Monero are some of the best in the world. So Monero's pretty good. I think the community around Link has proven itself. They got a big jump in price recently. So check that out. But mostly, most of the decentralized projects are run on Amazon Web Services. So I just invest in Amazon because they're going to have to use it anyway for most of them to run at all. So that's pretty much it for me.
Okay. Ian Bellina, what are your favorite cryptos outside of Bitcoin and why?
Oh man, so many. So we like to take a data-driven approach to investing in crypto. So we like to go through, do fundamental analysis, do quantitative analysis, also do in-depth code reviews on the actual technology. So if I had to pick one cryptocurrency to invest in, I'd have to pick Ethereum. I think Ethereum is the future. It's the future of crypto. But outside of Ethereum, projects we like from a purely code review perspective, one is Polkadot. Polkadot is building the internet of blockchains. They want to connect Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all these other blockchains and really build a highway operating system where all these third-party blockchains can speak with each other. In terms of microcap or promising new blockchains I like Helium Network. They're building a decentralized internet. So you basically buy this hotspot. It's kind of like a router. You plug it in. It's plug and play. Anybody can buy it. It costs about $400. I bought this about a year and a half ago, and I was able to recoup my investment in about 6 months. And it's so easy. You basically share your Wi-Fi access online to people like Lime scooters or any other IoT devices. And in exchange for sharing your Wi-Fi connection, they give you tokens. And I think this is a very promising project backed by credible VCs. Coinbase is looking at possibly adding this project on their exchange. So I think that plus one other project such as Matic Network, they're building a layer 2 scaling platform that lets Ethereum scale. So developers who want to build applications, people who want to build games and help them scale on the Ethereum blockchain, this project is great for that.
Okay, so let me ask you guys a tougher question then. We mentioned earlier that there are some people out here that are real skeptical of crypto, and I get the sense that there are no skeptics in this room. But if I were to ask you to play devil's advocate, and I'll start with you, Royal, why do you think that there are some billionaire seasoned investors who have made a ton of money who look at crypto and say, man, this is crazy, you're gonna lose all your money, because risk is real, right? And I think it's important to talk about risk because there are people that think markets can only go up, right? I feel like this is it's a wonderful time to invest, but it's a dangerous time to invest if you're a new investor because you get this sense that like the only way is up. And when you've seen like how bad things can get and how far down they can go, then you kind of get a different point of view. So Royal, what do you think? How could somebody who actually has sense, who's not just stupid, look at crypto and say, man, I'm not touching that, or it's just too risky? Any thoughts on that? Oh, hold on. Let me unmute the brother. Sorry about that. Oh, wait. I think you got to unmute yourself.
I got it. So I would tell these people who are like skeptical about Bitcoin. I'm pretty sure Blockbuster was skeptical about Netflix. About to happen. You get your popcorn, and I think this is the perfect time for people to jump in because I look at it like this: none of you guys who invested, okay, because I'm 29, so you got Amazon, you got Apple, you got all these companies who came out when I was like 8 years old, right, 7 years old. None of my family members got involved. So now that we're grown and we have the option to take our money and put it places, why wouldn't you put it in something that's growing? Either way it goes, yes, things can die down, but the market is so new where for people who invest now, it is only up for us. That's how I feel about it because these companies are just going to get bigger and better, especially if you pick the right companies that's actually doing the job. Because, it's a lot of bunk coins out here. Well, but see, the thing is, when the sector is, they're suing people. So eventually all this is going to get cleaned up. And I feel like once Bitcoin is cleaned up, more people are going to feel better and more money is going to come in. And the people who are not second guessing it are going to make a lot of money. Because right now it's a lot of people who can make money in Bitcoin and crypto without really knowing much about it because these projects are going up and down. But they haven't got started yet. So I feel like you invest now, even if you was to purchase gold right now, you're not going to make any money. You're not going to make any money anyway. You put money in your bank, you don't make no money. So you're already taking a risk It's three people. It's three things you can do. You could be the people who thought this was going to happen, the people who is waiting for it to happen, or the people who's going to watch it happen. You could be part of what's happening. So I think the risk is not investing. That's the biggest risk. It's not doing anything. That's my risk.
Well, I think it's a good point. As I move to you, King Bless, I think it is a good point to kind of say, look, if you spend your money, on shoes or food or, well, not food, but, going out to eat or going to the club or whatever, like we know what happens with that money. Like we know that spending money gives you pretty much a 99.9% negative return on investment, right? So I kind of look at it like, well, why not go ahead and do something else with your money that might give you a chance of actually turning into something good. And again, I use my own cousin. I think that the Bitcoins he got were free because at that time, Bitcoins were worth maybe $10 a piece. So the guy's like, here's 38 Bitcoins, and he's like, oh, thanks. Because in his mind, he thought he was getting paid, $300. And now that 38 Bitcoins is worth 1.6, 1.7 million, whatever the number is. So I get that for sure. But I'd be curious. So King Bless, in terms of the risk, because remember in the crash of 2017, I remember a lot of people were mad at me because when I was talking about crypto, they thought I was telling everybody you got to go buy it or you should go invest your rent money in crypto. I never said that. I specifically said, assets can crash. And then when they crashed, they were upset. They were like, oh my God, I can't believe this would happen. And there are people who are new investors who, feel like if it doesn't work out, they feel like they got robbed. Like you took my money. No, the universe took your money because that's what investing is, right? So how do you prepare somebody, King Bless, for the darker side of what you're going into? You yourself, I think you were the one who said that if XRP goes down, like a bunch of projects are going to get annihilated. And so I'd love to know your thoughts on the risk of investing in crypto, but also if you could finish off with your final thought on XRP, because I'm definitely curious to know what you guys think about that. Go ahead, bro.
Right. So risk in investing in crypto and XRP. First of all, you got the right person for this question because I love to give the real. I'm not about to coddle you and give you fake feelings. That's why I'm in Bitcoin. You can't control my money. I can say what the hell I want and do what I want, right? So here's the real love behind it. For one, if you lose any money in any investment, that is your fault. That's not Dr. Boyce Watkins' fault. That's not King and Bitcoin's fault. It's your money, is your fault. Because if the deal was you're going to blame me for losing your money, I wouldn't tell you to invest it. I would tell you to invest it in me because I'm a winner. I don't need you to invest in the crypto market. So I'll say that to start with. And seriously, I make that point because first of all, when it comes to Bitcoin, there hasn't been a crash or none of that. Like I hate that narrative. It's only 12 years old and it's trying to build a global financial system. We are going to see this price shoot up thousands of dollars and go back down thousands of dollars for the next 10 years. The next 10 years, people, even if Bitcoin goes to 100K, 150K, once it hits 200K, again, cryptocurrency goes up and down 10% almost every day. What's 10% of 200K, right? So when Bitcoin drops $20,000 all of a sudden, are you going to start selling at 200K? No, this is a life cycle of any asset. Look at Amazon, look at Apple. Like everything goes up and down. Like it's just a natural thing. So I hate the narrative of this thing is dead or it popped, the bubble pop, as Mark Cuban was saying. Like, what does the bubble pop mean if in another 2 years it's going to go right back up, right? So I'm against that narrative in general. Bitcoin is very new. It's 12 years old. Expect to see dips and crazy swings like we're seeing now. So that's my thing. I think the riskiest part of Bitcoin in general are actually two things. And one is the government. As I said earlier, the government doesn't want something to compete with the dollar. And then the second thing is I got to call it out. It's a lot of professionals and family people coming over to the crypto space, trying to mitigate risk. And I actually had to talk about something Royal said. I don't like the sentiment of once Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, once it gets cleaned up and all that, because that means regulations. And the reason why cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and all this other stuff was created was to get away from it. So there can't be something that happens in the year 2024 that says, hey, we're going to use 20% of the world's or the United States' crypto to bail out these companies. I never want to see that again. And that only happens with regulations in the cleaned up space. And the only reason people want it to get cleaned up is because they're coming from different professions or different everything else with their hard-earned money, and they're scared of this market. And instead of just going into the market and learning about it, they're saying, no, I want regulators. I want this. I want that. I want to make this easy. I want to make my get-rich-quick scheme easy. It's not going to happen. If you're into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency specifically to build wealth, you have to learn. It is a crazy learning curve. There's nobody that's going to help you. You have to learn. You are becoming your own bank. So that's my spiel when it comes to that. I know I said a lot, but essentially you have nothing to fear in Bitcoin if you actually do your work. Because if you do the homework, from the technical point of view, there isn't nothing wrong with it. It hasn't been hacked. It works. Like, actually read the white paper, do your research. It works. So again, when people keep talking about prices and the swings, the only thing I think about is like, I'm looking at the stuff, it works. If something works, then everything else when it comes to price point, that's the speculative part. To me, there's nothing speculative about Bitcoin because it works. Now, when it comes to XRP, Ripple, the reason why I said that is because Ripple was at Brad Garlinghouse. When Ripple hit $3 and something, he became the wealthiest person on the planet for like a strong 18 minutes, right? Ripple has the resources. They know governments, regulators, people in governments, politicians, bankers. They know everyone around the planet. They've been giving out money. They've been giving out Ripple. They've been building. So with all of that being said, and Ripple was initially for banks and governments. So if a government turns its back, which we've seen the SEC doing, and they actually win the case against Ripple with all their grand resources, majority of these other projects don't have the resources Ripple have. And the SEC can identify a person in the company and go after that project and destroy it, then every other company, every other project that has that same type of person who doesn't have those same type of resources are going to be bending over for the SEC as if they beat Ripple with that case.
Wow. Yeah, I think that whole situation with Ripple is very disturbing. You know, it's one of those things that can go either way. You know, it's like I almost compare it to like a pass interference call in a football game. You know, you can almost call that almost every play if you really want to, or maybe targeting. I hate the targeting penalty. I understand the need for it, but you know, if you're a football fan, you know what it looks like when a guy, it could be accused of targeting when he's not trying to target. He's just making a tackle, right? So in a way, it's one of those things where I'm real curious to see how this plays out. And I know that the chairman of the SEC, Jay Clayton, is on. I think he just left, and so they have a new chairman. And I couldn't help but wonder: is this sort of some last ditch effort by people that were in the Trump administration to just cause trouble? Just create uncertainty. And I actually held my XRP. I'd be curious to know, Isaiah, as you answer your question, did I do something stupid by holding my XRP? Should I have just sold it? I kind of want to hold on to it because I feel like I have hope that this case is going to go away. I really can't imagine them pursuing this because I think it's going to disrupt the whole market. What do you think, Isaiah?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny you bring up Jay Clayton. You know, me and King were joking. We were like, did Brad Garlinghouse steal Jay Clayton's girlfriend or something? Because this was kind of right at the end. It seemed like it was targeted right at Brad Garlinghouse. But this is the one of two ways that Ripple can go. They can lose to the SEC and move their operations overseas, but it will be kind of hard to deal with banks who rely on U.S. banks for their regulations. So they're going to look at it and say, well, we don't want to deal with you. So the value could go down. And then the second thing is Ripple could win. Very small chance that they win, in my opinion, but they could win the case and they rewrite the Howey test and they say that this is what security is now, and Ripple proved that, and the price could go skyrocket. But the one thing I do want people to remember about Ripple, it's the only coin that has successfully been hated by crypto people and laughed at by banks. So they're kind of in their own space because people like me who started out, we've been saying Ripple was a pre-mined, terrible cryptocurrency that is a pump and dump that you could make money if you are a trader. But if you're trying to hold long term, that is not what Ripple's for. Then banks, people I know that work for JP Morgan, work for other banks, they literally laughed at Ripple. They're like, you think we're going to use Ripple over our own technology? And then JPM coin came out. And then he started having digital ledger technology. That is exactly what they did. They looked at Ripple's presentation and said, we can build it ourselves. So they're not even getting traction from US banks. So that's the position they're in right now. Whatever they do from there with the 90% of their business being outside of the US, we'll see. But if they lose at SEC, I don't think international banks will deal with them if US banks won't either. So you can hold it if you want. I think actually the ethos of crypto is the fact that you're free to do whatever you want. So you can hold it. It would be a great collectible. If it went down forever and went to zero, you could say, I had 1 million Ripple, I had a chance. Honestly, or again, like I said, it would be the funniest thing to me to see Ripple skyrocket to $5 overnight and just fall back down. Just
never.
one last pump for the road. That would be hilarious. But again, it's crypto. It's still the Wild West in some aspects, but it is, regulation wise. Hey, Jay Clayton must have something against Bragg Garland House.
Yeah, I felt like it was personal too, and that's one of the reasons why I couldn't help but feel like there's some chance it could just kind of go away and disappear, or not be a priority under the Biden administration. But and it's funny you mentioned the Howey test. Now, for everybody who's listening, if you don't know what the Howey test is, it's basically the test that's used to determine if Ripple was a security or if it's a currency. And the Howey test says that I'll read this to you guys. And some of you, the experts on here are aware of it. Some of you in the audience may not be. Specifically, the Howey test basically determines if a transaction represents an investment contract. If, quote, a person invests his money in a common enterprise and is led to expect profits solely from the efforts of the promoter or a third party. So basically, are they selling stock? That's my interpretation of it, right? Are they? Is Ripple a currency or is it a security? I think you can make an argument either way, but I do think that Ripple may have put themselves in a tougher position by how they marketed the currency, right? If you gave the impression that, look, if we make a profit, then we're sharing profits with you, then you could fail that Howey test. I don't know if they have to rewrite the Howey test, really. It almost just seems like it's just one of those things where if the teacher likes you, you're going to pass. If the teacher don't like you, you're going to fail. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know.
Well, it was kind of just the price going up, as far as speculative. It's kind of weird because it's a settlement coin. If you settle, there's a buy and a sell on both sides. So it should be stable. So the price going up is obviously a pump and dump. That's what a settlement coin does. If a bank is going to pay other banks with Ripple, they're not going to do it with a volatile currency. It should be a settlement coin. So there's an obvious pump and dump. So who knows? The SEC will, like I said, I don't know if they'll change the Howey test. I think the Howey test is a little bit outdated. A little bit outdated, but I seriously doubt they're going to change the rule for Ripple.
I think the issue where they messed up is, one, it was a pre-mined coin. So the company, Ripple, owned more than half the supply. And according to the actual report, the SEC believes just by the fact that they control the supply and the market, they essentially control the direction of the coin, meaning that there's a common enterprise that controls the coin. In addition to that, Ripple or XRP was trying to create markets and liquidity for that coin, meaning trying to pay exchanges to list XRP. And as a result, there's a common enterprise that is still steering the growth of that project. Now, if we look at DeFi, for example, DeFi in the last 1 year or so has achieved at this point over $12 billion in total assets in crypto. DeFi coins are really cryptocurrencies that are decentralized and they're run by the community. And you have all these new currencies such as Yearn Finance, Aave, Synthetics, all these currencies where the ethos is to issue a currency, but have the whole community run and govern this currency by its own. There's no central party or anybody who controls it. And I think if XRP had done the same thing, they would not really be facing the SEC.
Wow, that's heavy. Okay, great point. Thank you for that, Ian. Okay, so let me ask you guys this last question before we head out. You guys have been a great group to talk to, man. I am looking forward to speaking to all of you in the future. And so once we get done, I definitely want to get all your phone numbers because I never, just so everybody knows, I didn't know any of these brothers before today, but I know them now and I respect them immensely. And I think that you should follow up with them and look into what they got going on because they're all very smart. So starting with you, Royal, could you tell people how they can get in touch with you, where they can follow up on what you're doing?
My Instagram is New World Tycoon, and on my Instagram I actually, for people who haven't if you haven't really got introduced to crypto, I have an introduction book on my bio where you can purchase it. And then once you purchase the book, I bring you into my private Discord where I pretty much have like a community of active investors, and we're all pretty much helping each other and putting out news and telling each other and just helping each other. So New World Tycoon is my Instagram, and you can just pretty much find me there.
All right. King Bless, what about yourself? Let me help make sure the brothers. There you go, King Bless. Go ahead, brother.
Had to do the pump fake. All right. You can find me every day, Monday through Friday on YouTube at the Gentlemen of Crypto. Again, that's the Gentleman of Crypto. You can also see me on Twitter, the Gentleman of Crypto, or our official account, KRBE Crypto. So every day, all we do is talk crypto 30 minutes. We try to make it nice and easy for you to get in, get out, and get your daily crypto news and updates on the prices.
All right. Isaiah Jackson, you, sir.
On Twitter at BitcoinZay, on Instagram at BitcoinZay LLC. Also the co-host of the Gentleman of Crypto, Monday through Friday. And you can also find me at bitcoinandblackamerica.com.
All right. And Mr. Ian Bellina, yourself.
You can find us on YouTube or Twitter at Token Metrics. We're a cryptocurrency investment research company. We provide data-driven research using machine learning and quantitative approaches to investing. My personal profiles are at Diary of a Made Man on Twitter, Instagram, and we also have an email list.
All right. Well, I love it. If everybody could take a second and give a digital thank you, round of applause for these very intelligent brothers that that came on with us today. I truly appreciate all of you for joining us. This has been great. And we're going to do this again in the future because, I think crypto has a lot of potential there. And as most of us know, or I'm going to take a Joe Biden phrase. If you ain't investing, then you ain't black. So if you ain't investing somewhere, then you ain't black. So that means invest in yourself, invest in your kids. If you got them, invest in your life, invest your money, because investing is the best way to be black, because I want you to be black and powerful. So God bless everybody. Take care. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out. And also don't forget that tomorrow, Saturday, is the Generational Wealth Conference. We're going to cover a lot of different areas, from credit to wills and trusts, to insurance, to taxes, real estate, etc. So if you'd like to join us, go to generationalwealthconference.com. That's generationalwealthconference.com. We get started tomorrow morning. We go the whole weekend. It's going to be really good. So take care, everybody. Have a good day. And if you brothers can stay on just 1 second so I can get your information, I appreciate it. And we'll see you guys soon. Take care now. Peace.